He's Tim. I'm Ronnie. All the good names are taken podcast. And we're back, Tim. Merry Christmas, by the way. We're back, Tim, to talk a Christmas movie that we've never discussed on this show before. Gremlins from 1984. How are things, Tim, in this wonderful Christmas season?
Merry Christmas to you as well. Things are fantastic. You know, I haven't watched this movie again since I saw it for the first time as a kid.
Really?
Like there were specific I'm talking like young kid. I've seen like parts of it on TV, I guess. I don't know where, but a lot of this was the rewatch was nice. It was pretty good.
Does it make sense that I remember this movie being like a semi part of my childhood as far as toys with the Gizmo toys and the Gremlin, the striped toys?
Did you see who one of the producers were on the movie?
Spielberg.
Kathleen Kennedy.
Put a chick in it, make her gay.
Do you think that she was like, hey, Mandalorian people, get me another Gizmo to market? And that's how they came up with Baby Yoda? Because it's the same character. Gizmo and Baby Yoda are the exact same thing. One has fur.
Does Howie Mandel voice Baby Yoda?
He could.
What I was talking about is I remember like having the toys, and I'm sure you did too. You're a little bit younger than me.
I had Stripe for some reason.
Yeah, back in the day, you got these small, I guess they're called 45s with these storybooks, and you'd put them on the record player.
Yeah.
It would tell you the story of the movie. Like, check this out right here. Sorry, I don't have a long cable. That's what she said. But when we bought all that stuff out of that estate sale,
yeah,
this was, let me see if I can get it on there.
Oh, nice.
This was one of the things the guy had, and it's like a Gremlins book. It's not worth anything. I think it goes for, I feel like Pat from the collector show. It goes for like $15 online, but it's like in great condition. I remember having those books, multiple books.
Look, what people don't understand about the box office gross in the 80s is toys accompanied every one of those movies. Like you don't see there's not James Bond action figures every time there's a new James Bond movie. You don't get Mission Impossible Tom Cruise action figures in like 5 different variations. Like here's Underwater Tom Cruise and here's Extreme Flight Tom Cruise. In the 80s, you would have 50 different RoboCops after RoboCop 2 came out.
Here's right? On the couch on Oprah, Tom Cruise.
Yeah. No, you would have that if they still did that today.
Have you ever felt this way before?
But they don't do that anymore. I guess people quit buying them. But yeah, Gremlins was all over the place. It was the whole lunchbox, trading card, the whole shebang.
And like you said, I don't remember watching this movie that much.
It was just everywhere.
Since I was a kid. I mean, it seems like it blew up, and then they had part 2, and everybody remembers part 2 for one thing, Hogan in the theater.
Sorry, folks. It won't happen again.
And then, they were gone. All of them were gone. Like the main actor in this movie, Billy, he was never in anything else of substance, and it's just disappeared. And I guess it goes to say just how big of like a phenomenon, is that the right word?
It is, and it's work. When you've seen the Key and Peele Gremlins 2 skit, right?
No.
Oh God, dude. Well, never mind. I'm not gonna talk about it. Just edit the out of that, dude. You need to go back and watch that. It's funny as hell. They nail it. It's like, man, how do you take something where they're just selling these monsters to kids? Gizmo was all over the place. I remember that as a kid. Like Gizmo was, I think it was a spokesperson for something at one point.
I just remember Howie Mandel saying that he made so much money off one voice between Bobby's World, the cartoon show, and Gizmo. It was the same voice, and he made like a few $1 million based off that.
And now he gets to tell you whether or not you have talent.
Yeah, with OCD. Washing his hands 57 times like an idiot. So I had no idea before I started doing research that this movie opened the same weekend as Ghostbusters.
Ooh, so tough.
That's pretty awesome. Both of them cleared well over $200 million in the box office. So it's not like a E.T. The Thing situation where everybody watches E.T. and not The Thing.
What a hell of a weekend. God, there were just toys all over the place after those 2 movies hit.
just, I mean, two great movies that's lasted forever. This movie also, you know, since we're into the IMDb facts already, this movie spawned the PG-13 rating because at the time you had PG and then you went to R. And a lot of people, because this movie's freaking dark, we're going to talk about it here in a second. This movie's freaking dark, and you know, it's PG, and then you run in there, and next thing you know, everybody's getting killed.
Yeah.
We do good, bad, and the ugly. We do regular reviews, but I thought a way we could just make this a short little conversation about Gremlins, Tim, was you come up with 3 things you want to talk about. I come up with 3 things I want to talk about, and we'll hit it.
And we talk about them.
Yeah,
Genius.
we'll talk about them, and that'll lead to the video ending quicker, which is always the plan. We got to get in here, we got to get out in under 15 minutes.
Oof, okay, I'll try.
So, first thing you want to talk about was the inventor aspect of this movie.
So the dude says, I'm an inventor, and it really seems like that's his whole job. Is he making a living off of inventing?
My first batch of notes was, and you can see me and Tim both had the first same topic. Tim was a little bit nicer. This dude doesn't work. He's got who is supporting this family? I'm guessing it's the mom and it's Billy working at the bank. He's bringing in no money.
2-story house.
Yeah, a really nice house. We're talking about super nice. So either the wife, and I was going to say the wife may have money, or maybe he sold an invention back in the day. But this guy's never had any luck. He is in Chinatown trying to get him to buy the damn bathroom buddy.
He's selling a razor glued to a brick. Like it's the worst. Like as far as like it's a great. You're trying to think of an invention. Like, okay, we want this guy to be the bumbling inventor. Yes. What is the invention he's trying to hawk? That probably took more time than trying to figure out how many different gremlins you were going to have, because you got to nail that. Like it's got to be something he can show people. Right. And like the knockoff idea was the smokeless ashtray, but they couldn't think of enough gimmicks of that. They were like, hey, let's just have everything attached to this, and he'll get like shot with toothpaste and everything. It'll be great. He's at this convention where somebody's invented AI like years before anybody knew it, with that robot on the phone.
Dude, I was watching, I was trying to get everything in the background at this inventors convention. A robot walks by, like a real robot walks by him, and then like you said, later on when he's on the phone, the robot's like over his shoulder because he asked him if he wants some coffee.
What was happening over to the right? Like this dude's like pumping, like he's turning something, and then all of a sudden he's gone. Like
he exploded himself into another dimension.
See, I figured whatever he did, he built up enough speed, and he just like rocketed somewhere. He just took off.
But okay, so if you're writing a story, and people don't know this about you, but you're a very gifted writer. If you're writing a story or making a movie, you set up a character like this for the end of the movie, for the save the cat moment. So we know that the dad is a known loser because the mean bitch at the bank says that.
God, what's her name?
I just put B. Mrs. Deegs or something like that. Deagle. I don't know what her name is.
I think that was it. Deagle or Beagle. Deagle.
So, you know, they set the tone early with the dad, with the inventions that something always, one little thing messes up, whether it's the bathroom buddy, like you said, shooting out toothpaste or shaving cream or whatever that was supposed, or whatever that was supposed to be. And then you've got the juicer that explodes all over the kitchen. You got the eggs that shoot out.
The phone that does it is supposed to be wireless. Do you know how nasty my bathroom buddy would be if you let me do everything in the bathroom with this, like holding it at the same time as everything else? Oh, I mean, this is getting clean. We ain't washing it, Ronnie. That's what I'm saying.
This is at the height of the people trying to take planes and take them to Libya. There's no way they'd have let you on the plane with a bathroom buddy. It looks like one of those pieces of C4 from a Chuck Norris movie. And he's like,
it's exactly what it looks like.
He's so proud that he added a plastic disposable razor to it. What happens when that it's not even the razor where you can replace the blades? What happens when the razor goes dull?
It's genius. Then you have to buy another one.
And like you said, he's talking to some old hand in a gas station at the end of the movie about the smokeless ashtray. And I guess the gimmick and the joke is supposed to be it literally just holds the smoke in. And then when you open it, like the old man's coughing at the end of it because all the smoke that is trapped inside. So it really does nothing but create more smoke. But anyway, back to what we were talking about 10 minutes ago. He's having to go to like little dives in Chinatown to try to sell stuff. It's not like he's out there making deals with corporations. And he's a loser. He's bringing in no money.
What's $200 in 80? When was this? When did this movie come out?
84. So
84?
yes.
Because he just throws it out there at this dude. And the kid's looking at him like that's a lot of money. That's a decent amount of money now if you're just a hole-in-the-wall dive shop owner, right?
It's worth $600 today. So I mean,
Dude, just threw
yes.
$600 at him for the Malgly.
I guess he's Mogwai. I guess he's leaving. I guess they're living on unemployment or welfare or whatever. I don't know how he's got $200. Maybe he's like the guy from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and he's just selling a few of these things. Did he say how much a bathroom buddy goes for?
Well, he didn't go into the specifics.
All those con people usually say either 19 or 29.99. I mean,
99 is important. You learn that as a kid.
And then you got to figure the smokeless ashtray or whatever. That's got to be $9.99. So that got him down the road. But it looked like he exchanged it like at the barter system. He had like some Marlboros and everything else. So it looks like the guy in the gas station like traded him some cigarettes for the ashtray.
Man, it's weird seeing cigarettes in movies now. Like it's weird that it's weird. It just doesn't happen.
We were talking about that the other day. It might have been on a video or it might have been, I can't remember if we were talking about it in text, but how weird it is to see somebody light up a cigarette nowadays. You know, everybody's went to the vape. And when you see like a real man or a real woman just break out a cigarette.
Oh, if I see a woman start smoking in front of me and she's like a 6 or up, I'm going to be way too intimidated to go up and talk to her. We're like, listen, she's into dudes that, you know, don't wear captain's hats in front of a bunch of comic books. She goes for a different type of dude.
They're setting this dad up, you think, to be some kind of like hero. And I'm like, okay, everything about him screams bum, bad father, except for he brings a mogwai to his son. The wife, you can tell, is having trouble dealing with all this. And she gets a therapy session because I think she lets out all her frustration about her husband on those gremlins in the kitchen because she's throwing them into the juicer.
She's easily the most hardcore gremlin fighter in the movie. And it's weird they get that out of the way soon. Like, well, this person is dominant against all the gremlins. Like anyone else who's getting killed, you should be ashamed of yourself because she's wiped out 3 of them.
She wiped out all of them except for Stripe. Yeah.
Huh?
I said she wiped out all of them except for Stripe. Like she took care of the whole household of them.
Stripe got his ass out of there. Stripe's like, I'm out of this house.
I don't care
she's killing us.
Gremlin or not. You know the rage it has to take to grab a knife and stab something to death like she did. I guess just
nice touch that it was twitching.
So they missed an opportunity with the husband because he leaves and then he tells them he's at an invention convention on Christmas Eve. So if you're not supporting your family and you're not a very good, you're absentee father, you really want to be there on Christmas Eve. You want to do the holidays right because the rest of the year you're still a bum. But no, he's at the invention convention. He's hanging out with that ginger old man at the gas station. So the next thing you think is the dad's going to show up at the end of the movie and he's going to save the day. Doesn't happen. Then you think, okay, maybe one of the dad's inventions are perfect for killing gremlins. And none of them are. I understand that the wife shoves one of the gremlins in the juicer, but that was just for the effects. I mean, wouldn't it have been cool if he had like a super bright camera that he made that they could flash them and it just killed them like this boof? Like it would have been something if the dad had more of a redeeming factor at the end.
It's not weird. It's just, but it is interesting that they brought him in to be a bumbling type, well-meaning person to introduce the gremlins, and then we're like, well, now we got to get him out. Like we don't like he's not going to be a part of all the stuff that's happening in town. We can bring you back in over the phone. We can bring him in live, you know, picture in picture, but he's not going to be a part of the movie. Like all the big parts.
And then we'll let him show back up at the end so the old Asian man can scold them all. You're not ready for Mogwai.
It take responsibility.
It's not offensive at all. All right. So the dad, obviously, piece of shit. So, Tim, your second one.
Do we jump the shark any here? Where, like, I liked the movie, right? Like, it's a nice movie. They don't really make them anymore. Like, they're just nice, fun, like things happen and they make sense, but it doesn't take it's there. At no point does the movie take itself seriously. And that's the best part. But is there like a too over the top moment? And I say that. I see Flashdance Gremlin doing the feet run, and then he's spinning on one finger, and like it something like clicked in the back of my head, like that's too much. That's kind of taking me out of this a little bit. And I say that staring at Gremlins playing poker.
Yeah.
Right. Like I feel stupid for even bringing that up, but I was like, man, that might be a little too over the top.
Yeah, but I think that's what.
Or am I wrong? Is there not an over the top moment?
I think that is what adds to the charm of the movie, is it gives personality to each one of these monsters. I mean, they're horrible monsters, but I think you're right. I'm going to say this. I think the whole bar scene there at the end of the movie, where you've got Kate serving beer I think that whole thing is over the top. Why wouldn't she have run?
And that's the best part. That's the best part of the movie. That and when they're in the theater. And I put that down under over the top is why and how would she come to work the bar that's occupied by gremlins? But who gives a shit? Like, it's really cool. Like, and no one cares. And when you hit that part, like, it's the gremlins really show up. Then you get what they're about.
Yeah, and it's definitely
how smart is a gremlin in a human age 1 to 10?
I got a lot of questions about these gremlins. I would think it's just like with anything else. If Gremlins 2 showed us anything, they got retarded gremlins. They got really smart gremlins. I mean, Spike is obviously super smart, like Gizmo. You know, you look at the scene at the bar and you look at the personality it gave all the gremlins, and you think back to what the original draft of the movie was, which was they feed Gizmo after midnight and Gizmo becomes Stripe. And there's no Gizmo after the conversion to the Gremlins. This movie was hardcore horror before they did the redraft of the script. I mean, the whole cool scene of Billy's mom killing all these gremlins. Billy enters his house in the first draft of the movie, and the gremlins toss her head down the steps to him.
Oh, so this was gore horror.
Yes.
Okay.
And then, like, there's no more Gizmo. Gizmo becomes Stripe. He's the bad guy, and they have to find a way to kill all the gremlins at the very end. But Steven Spielberg saw that damn Gizmo, and he's like, we're going to sell 1 billion of these. Gizmo's going to be all throughout the movie, and it worked out for the best. I don't know how smart they are. Obviously, the intelligence is about like humans.
I think they're about like 16 years of age smart, because they're very impulsive, but they know like they know things.
Yeah. Which is crazy because there's so many rules in this movie. Oh, sorry. There's so many rules in this movie. Like the guy goes, they can't see sunlight. Sunlight kills them. Okay.
No
well, that
water. Yeah.
That immediately gives the humans the edge, because we just start tearing the roofs off stuff in this town during the day, and we're going to burn up most of these gremlins. No water, which makes zero sense. How do these mogwais stay hydrated? I mean, what about food that's got water in it? If you feed them soup, does that cause them to multiply?
That's a really good question.
Yeah. And then don't feed them after midnight. And then you find out you don't feed them after midnight because that's what converts these demons into gremlins. So I bring all that up with these rules, and they talk about that in part 2, all the complaints people had. Well, how do you know when midnight is and all that? What bothered me is you could drop a few things of water on Gizmo and instantaneously, boom, there's a new Mogwai the same size and, like you said, same intelligence level of Gizmo or whatever. But whenever they feed them after midnight, none of that is instantaneous. That is like, it takes like 24 hours for them to turn into a gremlin and hatch out of that egg.
They turn from like these nice little domestic pets into like hairless, clawed bad guys. That's going to take a minute.
With the same personalities. Yeah, it seems like the hair they would just like morph immediately, since everything is like instant gratification with these mogwais. But I mean, the only question that popped up to me, Tim, and I know this started as an intelligence for the Gremlins. What happens if you feed a gremlin after midnight?
Oh, dude, it probably goes back.
Pumpkinhead.
It goes back. No, dude, it goes back to Gizmo. That's what happens.
That's what I wanted to see.
This will be in Gremlins 3.
One thing right here, my second one, I put everybody's dead because that's what you have to realize has happened. Billy's mom kills everybody but Stripe. Stripe runs to the nearest pool and jumps off in there. And the next thing you know, the entire town is covered in gremlins, mean gremlins, killing people, setting traps, doing things that are sometimes funny, like when they all are on the Santa Claus, the whole bar scene. But underneath all that, people are dying. And they are killing cops. They are killing the old woman, which had the best death in the movie.
It was
when they
great.
Shoot her old mean ass out the window. That was awesome. They killed Dick Miller, who is the drunk neighbor of Billy, who apparently hates foreigners. And that plow right there never had a problem.
Despises them.
And I thought something was going to come of that. And then at the very end, and you want to talk about remembering stuff, when the Gremlins theme kicks up when they're driving his plow, and he comes into the house for the Gremlins to run over Dick Miller and his wife with a tractor.
That's a real gremlin!
Yeah.
He screams, "That's a real gremlin." So he's the first one to bring up the word gremlin, but it also makes you wonder, has he ever seen one of these things before? Which I know he hasn't, but I like to think outside the box like that. But everybody in this town is dying. There's multiple murders happening. I always like to think, what happens the next morning when they have to go house to house to find adults and kids and whoever else has been killed by these gremlins? Is that addressed in part 2? I guarantee it's not.
No way. I don't remember anything about part 2. Not a single thing. Why include the story of the girl's dad dying as he was coming down the chimney as Santa Claus, and they discovered it in that gruesome way where he disappeared and they smelled the smell and they pulled something? Like, her attitude, like, this isn't what was that horror, what was that slasher film we watched with that dude that had an issue with Santa Claus?
Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Yeah, like, she brings this stuff up, but it has nothing to do with the movie. It's just this really, like, it doesn't. Her attitude toward Christmas hasn't been brought up to this point, and it affects nothing later on. It was needlessly dark.
I think it might have been something that was left from the original draft that they
they left that scene in there. And Spielberg's not an idiot. Like, he
didn't like it. He allowed Joe Dante to, like, the studio wanted that scene cut. They said it doesn't work. It doesn't fit with the film that we have, but he felt like it did. Humor plus it was dark, so it fit with the movie. I think it was just to maybe give Phoebe Cates, whatever her name is, a line of dialogue that was longer than 4 words, because
you got to make her a little human so you could care whether or not she dies, I guess.
Yeah, and I think what it does, even though I'd agree with you that it's out of place in this movie, this horrible story, that if you have a child, you can't let them watch this movie. You got to fast forward through that scene because it totally ruins Christmas for kids.
It's pretty brutal.
Yeah, this is a movie that was marketed to kids, and then you're going to put them in there and let Phoebe Cates, whatever her name is, ruin Christmas for everybody. So I don't like. That's the one thing. That's the reason I don't watch this movie a lot, because we tend to have young people over here from time to time. And hey, y'all want to see this cool movie, Gremlins? Oh, I got to fast forward through this part, and it's going to be like, hey, why you got to fast forward through that part? Because she's a shithead.
You need to come up with the Ronnie cut.
That's true.
Where you delete those scenes.
I think it's to establish that she's just as dark and messed up as every character in this movie. We talked about the dad, who's obviously a bum, the mom dealing with, she's in love with her husband, but at the same time, it seems like she's being pulled by the fact that there's not enough money to go around, that the son is actually having to help support this family. Then you go next door neighbor who hates all foreign cars and hates everything but American. Then you go to the bank where you got Judge Reinhold, who we haven't talked about, who in his short little moments in this movie, you're going to think I'm crazy, shows that he's sort of messed up. Where they're sitting at the table and he's telling him how he's going to be a millionaire, and he goes, "Yeah, everything's great. Hey, Jer, it's Gerald." And he just sits back defeated, letting you know that people probably have been picking on him his whole life. Then you go to the old lady who's obviously the Scrooge of this movie. She's messed up. The two people, the woman who is begging for them not to take their house, even though they got jobs, we can pay you.
That was kind of messed up. But don't you need most of your characters to be messed up in a movie where everybody dies?
Probably so.
You don't want them to kill a bunch of nice guys and keep the levity of the movie, right? And keep it lighthearted and funny.
That's true. Even the cops, man, when he goes to the cops at the end of it, and he's like, "Man, the gremlins are all over the place and they're getting drunk." I understand that because it's Christmas Eve. They're getting drunk and they don't believe him. But when they get out in the car and they're seeing all this chaos around the town, that one guy that's the bad guy in Beverly Hills Cop, whose name I don't know, he was also in Breaking Bad, he starts crying, Tim. He's like so scared of what's going on. He's like, "Just take me back to the station."
They just watched the Santa get eat to death. Like, they're letting this. Oh, they're pretty crappy cops. They did not help the dude in the Santa outfit. They're like, "We got to go."
Just drove off. So this is everybody's dead. The characters that are still alive are still messed up. It's just a very messed up town. This is a screwed up town. I don't know if people pay enough attention to that. Like, all these characters have major flaws to them, and
the best characters are the Gremlins.
Oh, without a doubt.
Gizmo, the best characters are the Gremlins.
Yes. There's not a human character in this movie. People could argue Dick Miller, but there's not a human character in this movie that matches up to Gizmo or the personality of the Gremlins. You're absolutely right.
What was your favorite Gremlin personality?
I thought about this when you told me your topics, and it's hard not to go with Stripe. Stripe's the leader. He's the alpha and all that. But I got to think I like the one that's just laying under the beer tap, because that's what I remember the most as a kid. And the stomach's just getting bigger and bigger as he's drinking beer. I love the fact that these gremlins love beer. Like, they come out knowing everything about our society. They know things about 40s and 50s movies because they're dressed up like them.
Dude, my favorite guy is when they go to the jazz theme and he's just in his hat and he's smoking a cigarette. That killed me. That this gremlin's just smoking a cigarette. Like, they all were. Like, in this bar, it was fantastic. It's really hard not to like the Gremlins. Like, there may have been a point. I have no idea what the original script looked like. I didn't even know one existed until you mentioned it. But Spielberg may have looked at that and said, "Guys, this is funny. Like, this is funny. This is not good. This is going to be too funny for it to come across because it's good." So either that or when they're all playing poker, that was good. And I can't count it as a favorite Gremlin because it was all of them. But the hi-ho sing-along was fantastic. I thought that was great. That got a big pop out of me.
My last one, trans gremlins. So do we have multiple genders with these gremlins? Because you would assume they're all guys, right? So why do we have multiple gremlins dressed like girls? Or are there female gremlins? If there are female gremlins, are they getting after it with each other so one can get pregnant? Is the only way that a gremlin can reproduce is through the water? Or what do we have here is like a prison situation where some of these gremlins say, "Okay, I'll be the chick," and they're hammering each other.
They're asexual creatures, and I think they're kind of magical. So I don't think they're down like for any of that. I think it's just like, I think it was back when a more innocent time where you could play dress up and people wouldn't immediately assume you were a bottom.
He called me sir.
So I think that it was just gremlins have a little fun. They raided a department store, like, "Oh, here's a wig and a bra."
This is what started it. So what did we miss out on this? What did we miss out on anything? Let me take a look right here. What was the best invention that the dad had? Ashtray?
The hammer, the self hit, the hammer, dude. That thing was badass.
But he was like the phone. He was close with all of this stuff, but he just couldn't I'm sitting there going, how does this juicer work? You dropped the whole orange in there? What about the peel? What's going on?
You remember when we were kids and you would see these commercials and you could order a book that would show you how to become an inventor?
Yes.
And they treated
Why
everyone
Michael?
like you're a child who believes that that's an actual occupation you can have. Well, what do? Well, I invent and make money. Like that's like the hardest thing in the world to do, you know? But I guess this was part of that. I guess this was part of that where people just believed there were inventors out there just inventing things. And that's how they made a living.
Why was that old black dude at the school so late?
Oh, and it was like 2:00 in the morning?
Yes, and he's like still running blood tests and stuff on the gremlin. Why would he stay there? And then we never figured out anything about the blood test that was so important. And he takes a needle in his ass. He died like Lila Zato.
You know, I think it was just like scientists, you know, they stay up late doing experiments.
Maybe he got one of the Time Life books on being a scientist.
That's exactly right. If you see a little, what are they called? Mogwais? Mogwais. You're going to stay up a few hours late just staring at it.
Are they trying to talk about how society is? Like if you follow all the rules, you're cute and cuddly like Gizmo. And if you don't follow all the rules, you end up like a damn worthless gremlin that's just no good, dangerous piece of crap. Is there like some kind of hidden message in there, or am I searching? I think the hidden message was buy the toys, but I'm trying to look deeper here 30 years later.
It's tough to find a message because the gremlins killed the good people and the bad people. Like there's not like no one got their comeuppance. They were just gremlins. I think the message is you'll have a lot of fun if you just don't give a shit.
What if
be a gremlin?
If they would have fed Gizmo, I mean, all these gremlins, all these mogwais kept their same personalities. It seems like all of them are bad except for Gizmo. So if Gizmo turned into a gremlin, does he go bad or would he be a good gremlin?
I think Gizmo is your infancy, like you're a toddler, and the gremlin stage is your 13 to 16-year-old kid, where now you could cause a little trouble. Now you can make bad decisions.
All right. Well, that's our 3 for 3, Tim. You want to rate this bad boy or you want to save that for like a later review? Let's rate it, Tim. What are you going to give this movie?
God, I mean, it's a 7.5 out of 10. I mean, I enjoyed the rewatch.
That's what I was thinking too. 7.5 out of 10. I mean, I agree with you 100%. Good movie. Except for the Phoebe Cates. I know I'm saying her name wrong, but the Kate is her name in the movie. Kate's little moment of dialogue should have been cut from that movie. I mean, but you got to think about it. The dad is trying to the dad's coming down the chimney and nobody's even at home. Is that what she said? They came home and he wasn't there?
I don't know. I don't know what the exact plan. Obviously, it was not well thought through because the dude died.
He wasn't as smart as the Gremlins. You asked earlier how smart they were. They were smarter than Kate's dad.
Yes.
So that'd be what I would do. Like I'm smart enough to know that I don't fit down the chimney.
Yeah, are there chimneys people can fit through though? I've never seen a chimney big enough to allow a human being to pass through the top.
Maybe he was like 110 pounds.
God, you're right. Maybe he's like Slender Man.
And then how long did he have to be there? It's wintertime. You saw how cold this town got. How long do you have to be did he go months before they started?
Well, it's a fireplace. They were roasting his ass. I mean, they found him cooked.
That's what it was. I want to talk about Dick Miller's house next door when the Gremlins take his
take the antenna out.
Not the antenna. The antenna was cool. We talk about nostalgic is when he starts screaming about the antenna. Remember that thing you have to use to twist, and it would make
it would take forever to turn. And like it made this noise, so you'd know it was turning up there.
But when they grab his tractor and come at his house, you see that he's got like a tin lean-to on the back of his house. It's like that house didn't belong in that neighborhood. I thought it stuck out like a sore thumb. That might be the most unbelievable thing in the movie is that there would be a house that looked like that in that neighborhood of really nice houses.
Right.
They would have kicked him out for sure.
Somebody would have made him an offer.
That's Gremlins, guys. Hit us in the comments. What are your 3 favorite parts of Gremlins? What do you think about the movie? What's your rating of Gremlins? Are we too rough on the dad? Is he a deadbeat? Hit us in the comments with deadbeat or not deadbeat for the father. That'd be more interesting right there.
Hit us in the comments if you're an inventor, and I want to know. I want to know how you survive.
It's what you think it's a lot easier now to become an inventor
God,
than it was back in the day.
Absolutely not.
You can get on YouTube and like if you got like an animatronic ass clap for you right there,
dude. You know all that stuff's been patented already. It has to do with animatronic and like somebody's come up with every single blueprint and it's been patented. They're just waiting on technology, dude. When it comes to stuff like that, imagination far exceeds technology. Like you can think of 100 things to do with that.
Can you imagine that somebody decided the pocket? Somebody decided I'm going to add to it, and then we're going to make it like real. Or the people that did the suction cup with the power door.
Oh, how much money is the first spot gonna cost, Ronnie? Like the first, she'll talk to you. She's got Chat GPT. She can carry on a conversation.
It's going to cost more than one of these electronic cars.
No, easily.
It's going to be $150,000.
Well, you're paying for the company's side. What, dude? That's the company that the hackers need to hack. You find out that the company you bought your spot from just got hacked, and they have all the people who bought. Dude, you're blackmailed. What are you gonna do? Say no?
What was that list? That dating site list that came out about 10 years ago?
Madison.
Ashley Madison.
Ashley and Madison.
Everybody found out who the perverts were.
Dude, in our town, like people went through. Yeah. You didn't hear about all that, dude? Yeah.
I don't pay attention.
It was. I wouldn't have known about it. I had some people that were really into it, though. All I can remember thinking was, "Holy shit! I hope my dad isn't doing this."
Don't you do it?
Don't embarrass the family, Dad. But hey, he's a good guy. He's not on Ashley Madison talking to some chat bot.
No, he's on Farmers Only.
Dude, what's crazy is they're not even real women. Like what are you doing? Paying this website to God.
There's a lot of lonely people out there, Tim.
I guess so, man.
Speaking of lonely, all you people watching, leave us in the comments what you think. Guys, I don't know how close to Christmas this is going to come out. So if this is the video we do before Christmas, Merry Christmas. Thank you guys for watching all our content. Tim, people were very, very impressed with Silent Night, Deadly Night watch along we did. Watch along.
Good.
They enjoyed it before I finally had to put it behind the paywall. So if you guys want to see me, Tim, and Sleazy riffing on Silent Night, Deadly Night, all you got to do is become a grumpy goat by joining our YouTube membership or Patreon membership if you want to. But it's Christmas time. People are only thinking about two things. They don't have any money or suicide. So, Tim, if I don't see you again, Merry Christmas.
You killed yourself. Yes, I get it.
You are. No.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
I'll never kill myself. I love myself way too much. See you guys.